So I made you an offer a couple weeks ago, and the offer is still standing. I am more than happy. It's really not an offer. This is a request. I'm more than happy to teach on things that you want to hear about. I'm going to ask questions based on things you've said you want to hear about. But if I ask questions, you remember the deal? What was the deal? If I ask questions, you participate, right? Because I'm doing this for you, and I don't know if we're connecting if you don't give me a little bit of feedback. So a lot of this today will be some questions, and we'll get through it. At the end of it, if there's questions we have not discussed, as always, I'm going to leave 5 to 10 minutes at the end for you to ask whatever you want to ask or give your input on something. If it's just a comment, that's welcome as well. This is a safe place. So we're going to talk about dating, as I said, and this is part 1, the person I should date. Next week, it's going to be the person I should dump. Now, again, no names on the screen, but if you see these qualities, these may be some things you want to run from. Today we're going to talk about things you want to run to. This is hypothetical. This is the type of person that I should probably want to consider dating if I want to have a Christian courtship and eventually a Christian marriage. So this is just kind of a question to begin here. I'm not asking you to answer this, but just start thinking in your mind, how do you decide who you should date? What does that process look like? What am I looking for when I say, all right, I'm ready to meet somebody and I'm ready to move to that next stage of my life? How do I decide who I should be dating? Now, this question is for your participation. Why do you think people don't spend more time deciding this?
Competitive market.
What do you mean by that, competitive market?
At least from the guy's side. If there's someone of good prospects.
You don't want to waste time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't act now, the opportunity will be gone.
Okay, so, yeah. I don't really know what to do with that, but you're correct. Yeah, if you don't act now, the opportunity will be gone. Somebody else, why do people not spend more time thinking about this question? Who should I date?
People are emotionally driven.
Emotionally driven, okay? And how does emotions get in the way of that question?
They can blind you from logic.
Okay, very good, very good. You know, it's interesting that people, especially in their 20s, if they're mature and thinking through things, they spend a lot of time thinking about what type of house should I buy? Should I buy a house? Should I rent? They spend a lot of time thinking about how should I budget my money. They probably spend some time thinking about what type of car should I buy, not necessarily the make or the model, but price range. Is it practical? Does it make good sense? They think about all these other things, but then dating, they just kind of, like you say, make emotional decisions, and they don't think through that one as much. And other than your faith and your decision to follow Jesus, this is the most important question you'll ever ask. Most important one. And the one that has the most consequences in a negative way if you don't spend time asking that question. Who should I date? What does that person look like? And unfortunately, people don't spend a whole lot of time asking question, and it may be because they're working from emotion, and maybe, as Julian said, a little bit of competition. I don't want to miss an opportunity, and if it's not a good fit, we'll figure that out later, but I need to jump in now before I miss that opportunity. That's usually not a good way to answer this question. So what I want to do is, in this first lesson here, these are just 4 qualities, again, hypothetical qualities for the person that I think every Christian should be looking for someone that they want to date. There's obviously more than 4. We just have time for 4 in this class, and I'm listing them here, in my opinion, in order of importance. They're all important, but number 1 being the most important, number 4 being the least important of the 4, but obviously more important than other things that people consider in life. So, here's number 1. Number 1 quality for what I should be looking for in the person that I should date, I'm going to say is integrity. Integrity. Now, here's a question for you. How would you define integrity? What does that word mean? What is integrity?
Doing the right thing, no matter who's around.
Okay, doing the right thing regardless of who's watching. That's a really good definition. Somebody else. What is integrity? Do what you say you're going to do. All right? Let me ask this then. If integrity means doing the right thing even when no one's watching or keeping your word, how is integrity involved then in dating?
I mean, if they're going to cheat their taxes, why won't they cheat on you?
Do you look at their taxes while you're dating?
I know.
That's a great way to end the relationship. Hey, I know we've been out on 2 days, but let me see your tax return. But yeah, but good principle, right? If they cheat on taxes, are they going to, okay, somebody else. Purity. Does purity work into this? Doing the right thing when no one else is watching, like you get back to someone's apartment and no one else is there, they don't have a roommate, hormones are raging. How does that person handle themselves? Do they act honorably? Do they act like a Christian would act? Or do they begin to act like someone in the world would act? Going back to Kim's answer, doing what they said they were going to do. If they say, I'm going to take you out next weekend, and then last minute they canceled their plans. Okay, that may happen once. There's extenuating circumstances, but what if they say, we're going to go out again, and then last minute they cancel on you, or they change their mind, or they don't follow through with things that they say they're going to do? That should be, wait a minute, am I signing up for a life like this? Is that who you are? Or are these just weird coincidences? If it happens more than once or twice, probably not a coincidence. They're probably not someone who makes a habit of keeping their word, of being the same person all the time. So integrity, it works into leadership, it works into ethics, it works into dating. How do they act when no one else is watching? Are they the same person with you when you're by yourselves than they are when they're in a group of people? And the Bible, no surprise, says a lot about integrity. Here's just a couple of verses. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. The truth always emerges, and sometimes when the truth emerges, it's not a pretty picture. Here's one if you want to think about having kids one day. The righteous who walks in his integrity, blessed are his children after him. God rewards you for living a life of integrity, and then chances are much higher that you're going to raise your children to do the right thing if you do the right thing. When you're dating, are you looking for someone with integrity? I would say that is number one. Number two, faith and values. It may surprise you that faith and values, at least on my list, is not number one. That integrity comes before faith and values. So let me open this up for discussion. We'll come back to that point before we get there. Why does integrity, you think, in my mind, now I know you can't read my mind, but track with me here. Why would integrity possibly come before faith and values? Yeah. What good is their quote-unquote faith if it's not real? In fact, Jesus had a lot to say about that with the Pharisees, and one, we're going to get out of order here, we'll come back to it. But this is exactly what he said about the Pharisees. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. So you may be really impressed with someone that you meet at church because they seem very spiritual and they're always there and they answer questions in Bible study and they just seem like a really spiritual person, but then you find out later on it's all a game. It's not real. That's an integrity issue. That's not a faith issue. That's an integrity issue. And a lack of integrity is creating a fake, false faith. But if their integrity is in place, their faith more than likely is going to stay in step with it. Now, back to that first bullet point. I've said this before in here, and I'll say it as long as I'm here. When you're dating, you need to find someone whose faith is as strong, if not stronger, than yours. Marriage, all right, quote me if you want. Marriage is not designed to be a mission field. That was never the purpose for marriage. Now, lest you misunderstand what I'm saying, are there stories of a believer who started dating an unbeliever and that unbeliever became a believer and they had a wonderful Christian marriage? Yes. Praise God when that happens. But most of the time, that's not how it works. Most of the time, the unbeliever has a stronger influence on the believer, and that believer either becomes an unbeliever or loses their passion in believing, and they aren't as involved in the church or with their faith as they used to be. Marriage was not designed to be a mission field. So when you're considering someone that you want to date and eventually marry, you want to find someone who is at least on equal footing with you spiritually, and better than that, someone who's stronger than you are so they can lead you closer to Jesus. If that's not who they are, you are taking a big risk. A big risk. We quote this a lot in men's Bible studies. Men are familiar with this verse. I'm sure ladies have heard it before too. Iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. That's not just for men. That's true in marriage as well. If you marry someone who's a strong believer, they're going to make you a stronger believer. And so you want to look for someone who has very strong faith and values. Okay, number 3. Compatibility. Even if they're a great person of integrity and even if they're a person of strong faith, you need to enjoy hanging out with them. If you don't enjoy hanging out with them, you probably don't need to be dating. And here's a few things to look for with compatibility. Do you share the same interest? I mean, do you? You need to. You don't need to be exactly the same. You know, we often say opposites attract to a certain extent. Eventually, opposites stop attracting and they start repelling. Eventually. You don't have to like everything the same way, but I would say the majority of things you need to share the same interest, or the excitement of that relationship will eventually fade. And rather than eventually, I'd probably say quickly fade when the newness begins to wear off. Do you enjoy spending time together? Like before you become spouses, you need to be really good friends. Do you enjoy each other's company? If you're just getting together because you're physically attracted to one another, that's not going to work. Do you enjoy each other's company? Are you compatible? Do you share the same goals? Do you want the same things? That's a really important thing to find out. If one person wants to really focus on their career and the other person wants to focus on the home, that seems like that would be a pretty good match, maybe. Maybe both of you are like, I really want to focus on my career and I'm going to do whatever it takes to succeed in my career. Well, two people doing everything they can to succeed in their career, that's not sustainable. And let me clarify here. Neither person's wrong. Like if you don't feel like I just talk to the ladies. If you're a lady and you feel, I don't really want to be the lady at the house all the time, you're not wrong. If you want to pursue your career, that's your choice. And if you're the lady saying, I really don't want a career, I want to say, you're not wrong either. Like neither one of you is wrong. There's not a biblical mandate for what you have to do. But make sure that you're sharing the same goals. Because if you don't share them now, you probably never will. Right? If you can't get this right when you're trying to impress each other, once you're no longer as concerned about impressing each other, you're definitely not going to get it right then. So make sure that you kind of share the same goals. You want the same things. You're not going to figure everything out when you're dating about life, but you kind of know. You kind of know what you want in life, what you don't want in life, and more than likely that's not going to change. And it shouldn't change. Is daily conversation easy or hard? You know that pretty early on in the relationship. Like, is this just natural? Can we talk about anything? Or does it feel like we're just struggling to communicate, and when we're done communicating, I'm exhausted because I feel like I've been having to just carry this on my back for 45 minutes, and man, I need a break. If you need a break after 45 minutes, don't get married, right? Don't get married. Don't pursue them anymore. And to me, this is a real big one. When you think of your perfect day, are they in it? Now, I'm not just saying this because she's here. I'd say this if she wasn't here. But my perfect day always includes Suzanne.
I'm riding in the car.
And it always will, yeah. Yeah, she is riding the golf cart. But like if you said, how would you want to spend your perfect date? She's going to be part of it. And guys need time with guys. Girls need time with girls. But do some real personal inventory here. If you've been dating someone for a while and you sit around and you say, what does my perfect day look like? If that person's not involved in your perfect day, you're not going to have a great marriage. You're just not. The person you marry should be the person that you can't imagine spending your life without. When you think of your perfect day, are they in it? Okay, quality number 4. I know you're wondering, does this matter? Yes, it matters. You need to be physically attracted to this person. You just do. God created you that way. God created men and women that way. There needs to be some type of physical attraction. God wants you to desire your spouse one day, and He wants for your spouse to desire you. He created it to be that way. Now, let me ask you, this should be obvious, but I want to hear your answer. Of the 4, and again, these are not the only 4 you should be looking for, but of the 4, starting with integrity, and then faith and values, and then compatibility, why is this the last one of the 4? Right. The other 3 can't be compromised for that one.
One of these things is expected to fade away.
Which one? The integrity?
At least the beauty is fleeting.
Yeah. Right, and the verse that usually says this, sorry ladies, but it's Proverbs 31:30, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. That's not just true about women. Obviously, men's appearance changes. But here's something that you'll learn as you age and once you get married, the reasons you're attracted to your spouse, that also changes. When you're young and single, you're attracted for physical reasons, right? But then life happens and the dad bod takes over and you have children and that changes. But then women start saying, my husband is the most attractive to me, not when he's, we're going swimming or working out or whatever, when he's playing with the children in the front yard. That's when he's the most attractive. And men say that about women. It changes when they're most attractive. It's not what it was when I was 21. There's something deeper there. There's something with more meaning there. And if your only concern in your 20s while you're dating is, are they physically attractive to me? That is a false rubric that time will rob and time will change. And you'll learn that if they have integrity and if they have strong values and a strong faith, and if I can't imagine spending any day without them, if they're compatible with me, the physical attraction, it's a part of all those things. Now, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. In the beginning, you need to be physically attracted to them. You do. But that changes over time. It doesn't lessen. It does not lessen. It changes. And I think that's why it's number 4 on the list. So, there's the 4 again. Integrity, faith and values, compatibility, physical attraction. Now, I was going to end it here, but there's one more thing we need to address, and then I'm going to open it up for whatever questions or comments you want to make. Big question should be, then how do I find this person? If I'm looking for a person of integrity, if I'm looking for a person with strong faith and values, if I'm looking for someone that's compatible with me and someone I'm physically attracted to, how do I find this person? I can't just make them out of thin air. Where are they? Some things to think about. First thing, don't look for a Beverly Hills mansion in the Bronx. What do I mean by that? If you have high standards, don't dilute your standards. Just start looking in the right places where those people are going to be. You would not try to buy a Beverly Hills mansion in the Bronx because that Beverly Hills mansion doesn't exist there. It's not where that Beverly Hills mansion is planted. It's not where it's built. If you're looking for a person of high spiritual caliber to date, They're not going to be every place where the world looks. You tracking with me? Makes sense? So, narrow your search. The very best place you can meet someone is at church. It just is. Right, Connor? Okay, good. You got that one right. If you had a delayed answer, that'd been bad. Narrow your search. Realize if I'm looking for a person with integrity and faith and values, I probably need to go to a place where integrity, faith, and values are prioritized. Don't look for a bargain. In other words, don't say, well, they don't have these things, but they do have this, so I can get some of it without having to have all of it. It's not the way you approach dating. If looking in a place that doesn't complement your values, it's likely not the right person. You're probably not going to meet this person at Billy Bob's. I'm just saying. Probably not going to be the place where you meet them. Be patient. Right? Good things come to those who wait, and good things take time. Be patient. If you haven't found them yet, doesn't mean you won't. Don't panic. Don't think it's never going to happen to me. It will. Be patient. Go on dates. I know we've talked about this, but how do you know if it's a potential match if you never spend time together outside of Bible study or talking on the phone? You don't know. Ask someone out on a date. If you get asked out on a date, go on a date. If it doesn't work, you'll know. Both of you will know. But that's the only way to find out. You can't figure out if you want to own a Toyota Camry without going to look at one, taking it out on a test drive. Relationships are no different. You can't know if it'll be a good match, a good fit, unless you go on a date to see. Don't settle. This is kind of similar. Don't look for a bargain. Don't settle. You have value. You have worth. And please, for your own sake and for the other person's sake and for your own mental sanity, if you know it's not a good fit, stop dating them. It's not good for you. It's not good for them. You're wasting time. You have heartache. You have stress. Dating is meant to see if it can lead to a marriage. You don't want to be a professional dater. If it's not working out, stop dating. Maintain the friendship, but stop trying to force something that's not working. And then the last one, I hope all of you feel this way because every single one of you should. Remember who you are. And remember what you have to offer. All of you are incredible people. You got up this morning and made the decision to come and worship and study the Bible and be with other Christians. You are incredible people. You're special people. You are the cream of the crop, in my opinion. Don't settle. And remember who you are. You're a child of God. Remember what you have to offer. You may not be dating someone right now if you're a guy, but you're preparing, and one day you're going to be an incredible husband. And ladies, same thing. One day you're going to be an incredible wife. Hasn't happened yet, but it will. Don't forget that. Because when you start forgetting that, you start lowering your standards and you bring on a whole other set of problems in your life you really don't want. Really, really, really don't want.